Welcome back, everybody. Today we'll be discussing the Jordan 1 UNC Toe once again. Specifically, we'll be discussing whether you should sell or hold the Jordan 1 UNC Toe from the shock drop and why that is. To preface, if you guys enjoy these types of videos regarding the market, reselling, and even info on how to acquire these limited products, be sure you subscribe and enable post notifications. This way you're always 100% updated. Furthermore, for more urgent updates like the shock drop that we just saw today, follow my Twitter, KeithAdam10. This way you're always in the loop. And for early information, before these shock drops occur, Endurance always has your back. Feel free to check it out with the link in the description below. For those who don't know, the Jordan 1 UNC Toe quote-unquote shock dropped today. The reason I say it like that is because unfortunately, it wasn't exactly a shock drop, since they loaded the product 15 whole minutes before they went live on sneakers, making it not very shocking at all when they went live. And this also explains why, contrary to most recent shock drops, they actually didn't even bother changing the time from what was on the public endpoint like we've been seeing on prior drops. By loading on sneakers 15 minutes early, it's almost like they wanted everyone to know about this drop. Perhaps they were concerned about the massive stock selling slow, but obviously that wasn't going to be the case. As of me making this video, it is July 6th, 2023, the day of the drop. The average post-drop price for sizes 8 to 12 is currently $272. Evidently, these prices do leave room for good profit with a good margin. However, as always, they will drop in value as shipments and pairs go into circulation. When it comes to these, I think a useful comparison would be the Spider-Man Jordan 1, which also shock dropped before the main release. They shock dropped on May 2nd and had their full drop on May 20th, very similar to the setup to these UNC Toe 1s, which have a shock drop today and a full release of July 22nd. Those Spider-Man 1s were very high, as you could see right after the shock drop on May 2nd, and then as all the pairs went into circulation, the prices began to fall towards the $270 range, then into the $260 range. They sort of stuck around this range of high $250s to low $260s until the actual release. Now, on the actual release, as expected, we saw a mild impulsivity effect, making the prices temporarily jump back up for a bit. I don't expect these UNC Toes to react precisely how the Spider-Man ones did, but you get the general pattern with these pre-shock drop pairs. Price is high at first, drops as pairs go into circulation from the shock drop, then on the actual drop, they jump back up a little bit, but not quite as much as they initially were. And so, this leaves you in an interesting position. What's the best financial decision I could make with all this fluctuation? Well, I'll tell you one thing that's certain. The best decision you can make is going to be different for every single one of you. Why is this? Because you're all going to receive your shipments at different times. Meaning some of you will get your pairs super early, before prices have fallen a ton, and others will get pairs when prices have already bottomed out at their trough. So before we get into the numerical estimates, I'll break it down really simply for you guys. If you get your pairs super early, like this weekend, it is probably in your best interest to sell now. StockX gives you 2 business days. Watch your tracking number to see if your pair is coming in that quick, so you could do so. And even if the post-drop impulsivity effect is slightly higher than these prices, the small reward doesn't really outweigh the risk of them potentially staying low due to massive stock. So if your shipments tend to come in super fast, your time to sell would be now or very soon. On the other hand, let's say you get your pair by the time prices have already dropped 10% or more from where they are now. At that point, it is worth considering holding them for the potential post-drop impulsivity effect. Hopefully, this simple breakdown makes sense. Before we jump into the numerical estimates and calculations, I just wanted to thank today's sponsor, CheckCheck. For those who don't know, CheckCheck is a very simple and easy to use app that allows you to legit check sneakers, and they have over 1 million users and 1.5 million legit checks under their belt. They have been growing in popularity rapidly and have even been featured on Complex, Hypebeast, Yahoo, and Sneaker Freaker. They combine AI and expert human authenticators for reliable, accurate results. Today, we're going to put CheckCheck to the test with a real and fake sneaker. I'm going to show you just how easy this really is. I'll be using my cousin's fake pair of Travis Scott Air Force 1s, and I'll be using my pair of CDG Air Force 1s. First, I'm going to click the Nike Check button, then I'll select Air Force 1, and finally, I'll take pictures it needs and submit them for verification. I chose the 15-minute or less option, and rather quickly, I got the result in that these were indeed fake. In fact, it even provided one of the reasons for it, which was the insole stitching. I did the same for the CDG Air Force Ones, which were also used to make sure that that's not what affected the results, and sure enough, these were authentic. As you can see, that was super easy and quick. If you guys want to legit check your shoes to be safe, download the CheckCheck app and use my code Keith for a free credit. Now, for some estimates. I wouldn't expect these to drop as much as those Spider-Mans did, considering they are not as inflated as those are. I think a lot of people already are aware of the very high stock on these, not to mention how absurd the sale volume is on these too. Similar to what we saw on the Lost and Found Jordan 1, the StockX default load data doesn't even show an entire 1 hour's worth of sales. So, rather than a 20% decrease, I'd expect something closer to a 10% decrease. I think 15% is possible, but less likely than 10%, so just for example's sake, let's use 12%. This would hypothetically bring prices to $239 on average, meaning some sizes could be in the 220s, with larger sizes in the high 240s or low 250s, still leaving you room for profit, but the margin isn't anything crazy. So, let's say that these do drop to $239 on average hypothetically. Following the full drop, we'd probably expect to see a 5 to 10% impulsivity effect. That's something we'll cover more in detail in our actual seller hold video before the drop day, so subscribe and enable post notifications if you're interested in that. But for example's sake, now let's just say 10%. This could potentially bring prices to $263 on average, meaning some sizes should be in the high 240s and some of the larger sizes in the high 270s. So with that said, you could sort of see what I'm saying about it not really being worth the risk of not selling now if you are getting your shipment in super early. Like, you have almost nothing to gain given the current prices, and 10% is the more optimistic take. On the other hand, if your pair was like $240 by the time you got it, it makes a lot more sense to just wait for the post-drop impulsivity effect. In that case, the reward is greater than the risk. And let's say my 12% estimate is wrong, and they actually drop even more in value. Let's say they drop to $230, then that gives you even more of a reason to hold for that post-drop increase. Lastly, if you're somewhere in between these highs and lows, it's a bit of a gamble what you do. My general suggestion would be if you lean closer to the lower end, hold for the post-drop increase, and if you get them in earlier, lean towards selling them now. My numerical estimates might be off, but the general pattern should be the same as usual. Hopefully, this quick explanation was useful for you guys and you can maximize your profits. But anyway, that's all I have for you guys today. Leave a like if you enjoyed, or maybe if you learned a thing or two. Also, remember to check out the CheckCheck app with the link in the description and use my code Keith. Also, be sure to check out Endurance with the link in the description if you're looking for a profitable side hustle that goes far beyond just sneaker reselling. Subscribe and enable post notifications. This way you stay 100% updated. And with that, have a fantastic rest of your day. Congrats if you copped, or good luck if you're waiting for the actual release.